Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Intuitive Life Coach. This is your host, Angie. And for those of you who are just now finding me and tuning in, so I do intuitive life coaching, and my specialty is helping help mostly women. Right now, I have all women I'm coaching, but I am open to all genders and supporting them because I truly want everyone to feel healthy and whole in this world. However, I feel really led to women at this time as I feel there is a huge shifting happening on the earth with feminine energy and empowering the women. So that has been my focus as of recent. In my intuitive life coaching, I connect with people's energy and help them to release things that are keeping them stuck. So I'm always been able to read energy. I've always been able to connect with spirit. As a child, I didn't know it, but I did have like intuitive psychic abilities. There was a time that I healed myself with energy as a child, and over the years, I have seen spirits and connected with them. If you listen to my earlier episodes, you will have, you will gain some knowledge about my history and how I ended up in religion for quite a while in my life. And I had a spiritual awakening in 2016. And that shifted everything in my life. And I slowly moved away from the religious mindset and got back in touch with my spirituality, my giftings, and am now sharing them with the world. It has taken me a while to get here, where I feel comfortable being completely open and vulnerable about my giftings. I still am hesitant around certain people or my family or things like that. Just being completely authentic and open in that area. But I'm getting there, and I'm doing a lot of my own personal healing from my own traumas. And I think that the journey in this life is always about allowing ourselves to learn from what we go through and not letting them create the narrative of what we create, the story we write in the future. And so in my coaching, I really focus on shifting energy in people's bodies and minds, like turning up the frequency, basically, of their life, helping them to manifest, understand the law of attraction, and to move into their higher self and higher purpose. A lot of people stay stuck in life because they create stories around what has happened. And even if they aren't consciously holding on to stories from their past and underneath the surface and the unconsciousness, the story remains. And so I help to energetically dive into that place, figure out why people are stuck, and help pull them out of that energy. And I am one of those people that believe fully that if I'm going to teach something, I'm going to do it myself. And so I also do this work on myself, and I know it works. If it didn't work, I wouldn't teach it. I'm an honest human, and I want the best for everybody. And I will never teach or give anything to anybody else that I myself do not practice. Now, if I get a message from a spirit or through a guide about something in particular that I need to share that maybe I don't personally do or understand, I will share that. But I try really hard not to allow my ego or my own mind to get in the way of my coaching and teaching and guiding, because everyone has an intuition and spirit that they can connect with. They also have their own spirit guides, and to help them to get in touch with that part of themselves, I basically am a healer that helps other people to find their healer within themselves. Working in the mental health field for so long, I came to the understanding of why it's so important to do this work outside of just the basically borders, barriers, walls of the mental health field. And I always found it interesting that relationship was like always preached. At least in my most recent job, I worked in a psychiatric facility. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a long-term residential where this particular one had teenage girls that came and lived there anywhere from 5 to 8 to 12 months until they were stable enough to go back home or to a setting that was safe for them. So I experienced a lot of things in my life, and I have a lot of knowledge, and sometimes my brain gets a little overwhelmed with everything that I have learned, but I am so very thankful for all of it and being able to now help other people. I think the most knowledge I ever gained was through my own personal experiences though. And I don't know if my personal therapist ever listens to my podcast, but I am so very blessed to have found her. I 100% believe it was spirit-led, and she has helped me to heal more than anybody so far in my life. And so really feel like she's a universe sent to me, or maybe she had a contract with my soul before we came to earth where she was like, hey, I'll come find you and help you because you're going to go through some shit. And I'm like, okay, here I am. So it's been hard for me to really dig into my healing over the years, but over the last probably 2 years is when it's really enhanced. And in that time, I lost 90 pounds, and I had tried many, many times before. And, I did go to a nutritionist and I got some help. But even before when I did that, it never stuck because I never healed my mind. And so this time I'm really focused on connecting with my body, healing my mind, and living this out in the real life. And I want to give you that background of who I am because of what I'm going to share today and the message that I got in my spirit. So I had therapy this morning, and my therapist is a hypnotherapist. And if you've never done hypnotherapy, I highly recommend it. If you can't find a hypnotherapist in your area, then look for somebody that does EMDR. And if you don't find that, then get you a good life coach. I have maybe 2 openings for one-on-one coaching left. I am about to fill another slot next week for a woman that reached out wanting to start with me. And so after I get started with her, I think I'll have 2 more open. So if anybody's wanting to do some trauma work or spiritual work or connecting with their higher self or energy, then please reach out. I would love to help you. Anyways, so I did therapy this morning, and we did a hypno session. And in these hypno sessions, we go back into, we stay in this lifetime, and we go back to something that caused us to feel a certain way in our current time. And what's really interesting as I've been on this healing journey, and what I now teach to my clients is, shortly after my dad passed in 2020, so my dad passed of cancer in September of 2020, it was really devastating to me. And go back and listen to the prior episode to hear a little bit more about that. But I will say that I had already started my healing journey prior to that. And I had been to, I remember the first therapist I went to was, this older woman. And it was through my work. You know how sometimes your employer will give you so many sessions with a therapist. And so I decided just to take it back in, I believe that was 2017. Yeah, 2017. And so that's when I really started my healing journey. And it's not the first time I've been to therapy. Like when I was a child, I was in therapy, and then, I think I attempted it in college, but I only went to 1 session because I just felt creeped out. And then, in 2017, 17, I was 37, I started really diving into my healing. And the reason is because I had my spiritual awakening in 2016. Everything started shifting for me. And then my dad got diagnosed with cancer in, I believe, June of 2017. I think it was June or July. And my world was just flipping upside down. And I had left my church at the time because I really felt in my spirit that I wasn't supposed to be in that church. Well, it turns out my spirit was actually trying to get me to leave the church. I didn't know at the time. So the natural thing, because this is what you just do when you're a Christian, I went to another church. And the interesting thing is now that I think back to this time and all the events that played out for me and how they played out and the people I met and the things I was kind of forced into, it makes sense to me now. But I started attending a new church, and it was a huge church compared to where I had been. And within the first month or two of going there, I remember I walked into the building and I saw a man there and immediately recognized him. If you get my book, Leaf Lessons, When Trauma and Religion Collide, the Process of Spiritual Awakening and Healing, you will read a story in there about a rape that I experienced when I was 17. That was this man. And I did not realize I had seen him just a few months prior to that. I used to do photography, and I was working out a weekend for a realtor, and we had different people coming in, like families coming in like every 15 minutes to get their family photos done. And I was just snapping pictures and just sending them on our way, like not even paying attention. Pose, take a picture, move. Pose, take a picture, move. So I wasn't really conscious of who I was taking pictures of until I got home and I started to edit the photos. And I'm going through all these, and then I look at, and I had all the emails of these families. I look down at the email address and I see the name of it. And my heart stops. And I look up at the picture and I see this man and this woman, these children. And I'm like, holy shit, it's him. Mind you, I have not seen or been around this person since high school. And if you are a victim of sexual abuse in any way or rape, you will know that you often try to push these things away and ignore them. And eventually, most or some of us will have to face that and heal from it. And I think the universe was showing me basically that that is time. Not only that, like I had sexual abuse in my childhood as well, and quite a bit of emotional and physical abuse as well. And I would even say neglect in some aspect. Didn't have much of a relation with my dad, and my parents were just, my mom and stepdad were just really busy working. I mean, or at least my mom was always at all of my like school events, sport events. I mean, she always made time. It's just they were working really hard. So in some aspects, there was like some emotional neglect too. And I never really felt like I grew into myself. Like I found myself growing up. I always kind of was trying to fit myself into the mold of what I thought I was or what I saw around me. And I think that's how I ended up in the religion. So I started out as non-denominational, and then I have no idea what the church was. I went to a college. I went to a Christian college, and oh gosh, I have no idea. I know I just went there because I had friends that went there, but I couldn't tell you what kind of church it was. It was, I'm not even going to try. Anyways, I went there during college, and I always felt disconnected. I mean, even though I was in a Christian college, even though I was going to church, I just felt so disconnected. And then from the teachings or whatever, I guess. And then from there, right in 2022, so I went to India in 2000, or I guess not 2000, 1907, or 19, oh gosh. Oh my goodness, it would have been 1917. No, not, yeah, wait. Yeah, holy cow, that sounds so long ago. No, 2097, sorry. I'm like, so there's this thing on my wall that says 2017. It's a word I got at one of my jobs, and I think I was like putting the numbers together. So no, it's 97. I was 17. I went to India with the church that I started going to when I was 16. So, anyways, I went to overseas 2020, or 2002 was when I went to Laos, and I was over there for 3 months. Came back, and really just, I'm not sure what happened. Like, I just it started to really put me on this like road of questioning things. And then, I know I had one more year at the Christian college, and I decided to leave. And some of that's because I fully admit that I've never admitted this out loud. I left because I was friends with all the seniors, and all the seniors were graduating, and I didn't want to be there without any friends. And so I decided to get my associates and leave early. And I had like 12 credits to get my bachelor's in Bible and family ministry. And I left, which is fine because I don't really even want that degree. But I ended up going to university to get the degree I have in mental health now. And in 2005, I had a very vivid dream about a leaf, which you can read also in my book, Leaf Lessons. And around the same time, I had a vision of myself going to LA and going to do a training there for missions work. And I had never heard of this place. I didn't know what it was. And so I remember I had the dream. I woke up and I looked it up, and sure enough, it was real. And so I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to LA. So packed my bags, left, went to LA, spent time there. And I think it was the first time I don't know, like I was gone for, I know it was over half a year. But it was just like my first time, like really trying to live as my true self. And I didn't really know who that was. I think I was just trying to figure that out. And it was the first time I started talking about my trauma, I think. Anyways, then I spent 3 months in Thailand. And when I got back from Thailand is when I think things really started to shift for me. I remember I did not want to go to church again. I did not really believe in anything that I even had been doing or why I was doing it. I really just started to rebel. Like I think I was self-sabotaging in many ways because I turned to like drugs and alcohol and sex, and I was just a wild woman. And I had a friend that she was a strong Christian at the time, and she pulled me back into the church, which is, I'm really thankful. And I know that since, we've lost touch, it's been a long time, but, from the last I know, she's no longer a Christian as well. But I got really caught up in this church, and she ended up getting married and leaving, and I stayed. I was going to leave, but I had another woman step up and befriend me and kind of pulled me in, and I stayed. And so I believe I was at that church about 12 years. And so when I left that church and went to this other church, it was just like an automatic thing. But that's when my world just was it's just completely shaken. And I started running into this guy that had raped me in high school. And I had not faced it. I had not talked about it. I don't really even know who knew about it. But I saw him and I panicked and I ran to the bathroom. And I don't know. I think I left after that. I don't remember. I don't know why I returned to that church, you guys. I was just like, I was just not okay. And I didn't know. I was just searching. I ended up running into him twice more. And I think after the third time, I was like, what the hell am I doing to myself? Like, why the F do I keep putting myself in this position? Now, mind you, I'm also working with teenage girls who are coming to me talking about their rape stories and sexual abuse. And so I'm getting triggered all the freaking time. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to heal. So I started to try to go to a therapist. Could not open up. I just didn't even know what to say to her. I just wanted like stay closed off and like I have everything together. So after my 3 sessions, I decided not to go back because I just did not build an authentic relationship with her at all. And then I have a lot of friends that are therapists because I worked in a mental health field all my life. So I asked another friend about if she knew anybody, and she told me about her friend. And I went to her for probably 6 months. I liked her a lot, but the deep work I wanted to do, I wasn't sure I was going to get it there. So I looked again, and I found another therapist that it was in a Christian office. And I went because I was like, okay, well, maybe she'll help me to come back to my Christianity because I had left it. And what happened is, like, she was trained in EMDR, and so I started processing a couple things, but I didn't really ever completely open up or allow my emotions to be real. And so I stuck with her for 2 years, and then COVID hit. And so we had to go to video therapy, and this was right around when my dad passed. And I had just got, I just listen to the episode before this and you'll hear about that story. But so in my process of really diving in to my own healing, I started to learn about all these things that heal. And I turned to meditation. Like, I just started meditating every day, and it was working. And then something was like, start using sound. And so I started using sound, and it was working. And then I started remember when I was a child, I would heal myself with energy. Like, I'd put my hand on a scrape on my leg or something, and I would heal it. And I was like, oh my God, got it. So I never heard of Reiki, never heard of it. I don't know how I ended up coming across it, but I found it, or it came to me, or the universe did. And so I got certified in Reiki 1 and 2. And then just within the last 5 months, I felt called to go ahead and get my Reiki Master certificate. So I went ahead and did that. Anyway, so in my own healing, I had this sudden, deep understanding of my intuition and my abilities to know and see and do all this. And I think a lot of that was because my dad ended up coming back to me several times in spirit and talking to me. And then I met my guides, and then like my life just completely shifted. And so I share all this to help people know that I've had my own healing journey, and that's why I'm where I am now. And that's why I do what I do. I am passionate about it. I don't do it just because it is my calling in life. And I know that. I've tried to run from it before, and it keeps sucking me back in. But I'm finally embracing this. And now that I'm healed and healing and continue to heal, I feel safer in my abilities and feel safe in my body when I am talking to somebody else about their trauma. And since I am connected with my intuition and my abilities, I can understand how to protect my energy at the same time as getting into their energy and helping them pull things out. And today, after therapy, I'm driving home, and I was pretty disconnected from my body because we did, the hypno session, and I did some pretty deep work. And I was just thinking about like what I want to continue to work on to heal. And I had this crazy thought come in my head about sound. And I've been focusing a lot on like manifesting and healing my body through manifestation and my mindset and, just trying to become who I was truly, like what I came to earth to do, like be that person. And all of a sudden I had this realization today that my voice, the one that you are hearing right now, nobody else has. Nobody has my voice. I do not have your voice. Nobody has your voice. Just like our eyes, our fingertips, our heart, everything in our body is unlike anybody else's. We all have the same, most of us, we have the same things, we have the same tools that we use in our body. We all have eyes, we all have a nose, we have a mouth, we have hands, we have feet. Most people, unless there's a disability, we are all the same on the outside, like physically. But when we get really, really deep into ourselves, I guess, the really amazing thing is there is no solid. Everything's energy. And this is a scientific thing. The desk that I'm using now is not an actual solid. It is energy. It is a pure solid. The water I'm drinking, is a liquid, but really it's not really all together. Like there are tiny particles placed together to look like a solid, like everything is. And our body is the same. Our body's not a solid. Our body is energy. It's like liquid energy. Because we're water. We're made of mostly water. And if you've ever seen scientists manipulate water and how it reacts to sound, you will understand what I'm saying. Basically, frequency changes energy. I would almost say that this is just coming to me right now. I would almost say that frequency in music is probably the only thing that can manipulate energy and move it. Now, there's an aspect of physically, like me walking through a room or driving a car or a plane going through the sky. Like there's things that move energy. But it's not like, and maybe we do shift the molecules and make them appear different, but it's not like we're purposely do that. So a frequency will change the modality, the atoms, that it will change the particles of something. It will change the particles of water. And then if you've seen, I've seen things where they've used frequency, like they put salt on something and they turned a frequency on, and the salt started forming patterns, which is so amazing. And so today, as I have this thought come in my head of nobody has my voice. Nobody has my voice. Nobody has your voice. Our voice is a frequency. Our voice has a power in it. We were given a mouth with the ability to speak, most of us, because a frequency radiates out of the words that we say. The words that we say change the atmosphere around us. If you've seen those studies about speaking positive over a plant or speaking negative over a plant, and you see how the plant that had positive words spoken over it thrives, and the one that had negative words withers and dies at sometimes. And that is the power of words. And what we'll focus on is the actual words and like what is being said, which is the important thing. However, we don't think about the frequency behind the words. So this is where the woo-woo gets in place with our healing. If words are so powerful, they can shift the molecules in a plant or the cells in a plant, or shift water, or shift, anything basically, then think about the frequency behind that and how powerful it is, and how the actual words and frequencies that we have come out of our voice are actual universal energy. It's almost as if it is, we are the universe because we are energy. So we therefore are one with the universe. We can speak that energy out of these bodies onto this earth. And when people talk about manifestation and law of attraction, this is what I really believe it is we talk about enhancing your frequency or your vibration or clearing your energy and these things. And I teach about clearing energy in my healing and manifesting course. And this is it, you guys. So the way that we heal our mind and body is by connecting with our spirit, which is why I teach meditation, and allowing that part of ourselves to send those frequencies out and cycle those into our mind and our brain and our body. But not only, like for me, being a healer and being an intuitive life coach where I help people to heal, the words that I speak and the tools that I give actually have a frequency behind them. And if people allow that frequency to come to them and they understand it and use it for themselves, that heals. So when we are in a manifesting mode, when we're trying to attract good within the law of attraction, we have to really pay attention to those frequencies that we're sending out. We may just think they're words. We may just think they're feelings. It just may be who we are. But that's where we get it wrong, is the identity or the labels or the diagnosis placed on us, we begin to believe and align with it. And that creates a frequency in us that allows that to be who we are. However, if we change our frequency, if we move to a different frequency and we change the energy behind it, so that would be basically our thoughts, our words, anything that we're doing or thinking, that changes the frequency behind things. And then that's where the healing energy is. That's where the universal energy, that's where the abundant energy, that's where the manifesting of all of our highest calling energy is. And so I get asked a lot, so I teach clearing energy, and I always teach, you got to fill yourself back up. You can't just speak things out and get energy out of you without filling yourself back up. And I get questions all the time, well, how do I clear my energy? So I teach that. 2, how do I fill myself back up? And, it's a process of releasing it. But when you're at that place when you're filling yourself back up, it comes from this frequency. And that is why it is always needed and beneficial to speak positive words over yourself, to see yourself as healed, to believe that you will be and you can have these things. And I don't make light of any illness. I don't make light of things, because there are some things we just cannot understand or explain. I know people are born with things that, Nobody on earth will be able to figure that out. The only people, or I guess the only thing that would ever know is the actual universal energy or spirits, or like the all-knowing energy that created galaxies, basically. But outside of those cases, all of us are able to heal our bodies. And this is starting to be proven over and over and over, and more and more and more. And here in the Western world, there are a lot of the yogis and stuff that have been teaching this for a long time, but people haven't been listening. And the Western culture has been really good at making it sound demonic. And so we've missed out on a ton of healing. I think a lot of people are waking up and understanding what the truth is now. But if you follow any big healers in the Western world, you will see that this is actually being scientifically proven now that we can heal through our mind. We can change the atoms and cells and the function in our body by what we think. And I'm not sure that this is an easy task, or I'm not going to say it is. I'm sure it probably is if we get out of our ego mind, but the ego mind is always going to be there. So it's not something that we're supposed to dislike or disconnect from. It is here to keep us safe on earth, but we think through that part of ourselves more often than we do our spirit. So we may not always understand why things work. But meditation and mindfulness and mindset all are connected with our higher self when we are in alignment with thinking positive and healing thoughts over ourselves and the world. So when I teach about clearing energy and then filling yourself back up, this is what I mean, connecting with that higher self and allowing that part of you to speak healing frequencies over yourself, because every word has a frequency behind it, and it's going to be a positive or a negative frequency. So I was just, I had this epiphany as I'm driving home, holy shit, that is so amazing. And what I wish that I could have people jump in my mind sometimes, because I have these super cool things, and I'm such a good writer. I just said that. That's huge that I just said that. I'm going to credit my therapist for that one, because I think that came directly from my therapy session today, because I would have never said that before. Whoa. Y'all, you can really heal. But yes, I am a good writer. I love writing. I also have dyslexia. I also can't see very well, or I have ADHD, so my mind thinks faster than my body sometimes, and then I write words backwards and I do all this stuff. So I am flawed, but I am a good writer. I love to write, and that's, I have my first book and I'm writing a second book, but being able to jump in my head and see what visions I get and what I get into my spirit, I actually see the energy behind the words. I can feel the frequency, I can sense it, and I can just see this powerful energy coming out of the mouth as words are being spoken. And that's why love is so powerful as well, because love is the highest frequency there is. So when we love, that frequency is so healing, and it's so freeing, and it's almost like connecting with our true self, because the universe is love. So all these things that we manifest into our life and we send out in our energy are all connected with our frequency. And so when we have a lower vibration frequency that's not connected with our higher self or positive focusing on parts of things that we don't like or we want to change, or all these, things that we see as flaws in this life, we're going to vibrate at a frequency that attracts those things. And if we're focusing on good, clearing our mindset, connecting with our higher self, speaking positive, speaking love, we are going to radiate that energy and frequency out of ourselves into the world. And that's what we will attract back. So I wanted to share that with you guys today, because it just amazed me that just dropped in. I know it's my guides or my higher self speaking to me, but how powerful the actual voice we have is. If I were to call a close person in my life, a friend or family member, and I started talking without my name popping up or anything, they would know immediately it's me because of my frequency in my voice, the sound in my voice. If they called me, I would know immediately who they were because of the unique frequency in their voice. And this is how we connect with one another as well. And so our connection is so powerful through our words. And so that's why we have to be careful about what we speak over each other and to each other. So I am going to encourage you guys to really take this lesson that the guides have given us about our voice and how powerful it is and the frequency behind it, and pay attention from now on about what energy you're sending out with your unique voice into this world. What energy are you sending to yourself? What are you thinking about yourself? What are you saying to yourself? What are you believing? What frequencies are you holding in your energy? Because if you truly want to manifest the life you desire, changing that frequency is going to help. Changing it into positives, connecting with your higher self is going to help you align with that vibration and attract the things that you truly desire. So pay attention to your words. Really understand how powerful your voice is. And I encourage you to just start meditating to connect with that higher self so you can align all this together. Again, if you would like any coaching, please reach out. If I'm full, you're welcome. I'll put you on my waiting list. A lot of my clients will just go 6 weeks with me. Some of them actually stay a long time, but I do just offer like 6 weeks, 3 months, and 6 months. So I will have openings if I don't at the moment. And so please reach out on my website, www.leaflessons.org. Just shoot me an email or go ahead and book a time to do a free consultation and healing session with me. And we will talk about what's going on in your energy and how we can change that frequency. So I am going to let you think about that and mull over it for a little bit until I get another intuitive message and come back and share that with you. Until then, I wish you all the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. All the universal love to you. Namaste.